So you can find the code of contact on the CNCF website, and the meeting, as mentioned, is being recorded. Sorry, Ramesh, to interrupt you. Please continue.
No, thank you so much. I want to welcome all the community members for the Model Registry meeting. Welcome Ayush, Trevor, Stefano, especially not immediately from the Rehat team, but I thank you for being here. I've been talking to you, Ayush, and he expressed he expressed an interest in contributing to the Model Registry. So I want to just give him a minute to introduce himself to the community, and then we can go from there.
Hi everyone, thank you sir for giving opportunity to introducing in front of yourself. You are legendary people, and I am open source contributor from India, and currently I am contributing to Kubernetes project, CNCF and other project. And when I came to Kubeflow community, then I messaged Ramesh sir for GSOC and many other open source opportunity, and sir told about me that they are starting model registry project, and if you are interested, or anyone your colleague is interested, you can join with us and do an open source contribution, and in GSOC participate in GSOC, and any other opportunity if there, they can tell me, or you can ask in community. Or I think all thing is very nice. As a new contributor, I have reached one little PR, just like changing in Golang version of one of Kubeflow project Tecton. And thank you for giving me opportunity. Thank you,
Yep.
Ramesh sir.
Yep. Thank you, Ayush. That's all I got, Matthew. If anybody else wants to introduce you, this would be the time. Otherwise, we can go along with the action items, agenda, Matthew.
No, absolutely, and welcome, Ayush. It's great to have new people getting involved. So definitely, let's say we have as well Kubeflow Model Registry channel. So in case that there are any questions that we need to follow up offline the meetings, we can definitely use those channels, so that we can sort of like not only address any specific question or discuss about future direction, but as well use it to have a discussion in the community, so that is for the benefit not only of us, but of everyone. Yeah, Ricardo.
Hey, Matteo. That's great to hear. We have finally a place where we can discuss openly about the Model Registry updates. I'd like to suggest maybe you or someone else to post the updates on both on the general channel in Kubeflow Slack and the Kubeflow Discuss mailing list, so we can let the whole community awareness of the new Kubeflow Model Registry channel.
Yeah, it's a welcome suggestion, Ricardo. Actually, I just taken that one just earlier. So I've announced, for instance, this meeting in the general channel and in the Model Registry channel. But as well, I can take it as an action item that I can follow up on those threads with as well outcome of the meeting talking points. Thank you for the suggestion. Makes a lot of sense. And if I'm missing any channel, Ricardo, I'm pretty sure that please let me know. So indeed, just a couple of logistic points for the audience. As usual, as per the previous meeting, we were told that the Wednesday actually unfortunately conflict with other meetings. So this Monday slot of today seems to me that is the only one that is left for taking. So we just went ahead and take it, but of course we can try to adapt to the schedule, recording the schedule in case some comments will be provided. In that case, don't hesitate to put it in the minutes of the meeting notes. And further, per action item that it was from a previous point, we had requested the Kubeflow Model Registry channel, as we were just saying. So there is that. You can find it in the Kubeflow Slack. Just a couple of the quick status update. Then we have this. Can you let me know if you can see the GitHub screen at this moment? Okay, yeah, thank you. So we're going through the roadmap of the information requested from the release team of Kubeflow 1.9. So I went ahead and updated the draft with the information collected from across these 2 weeks. And again, I invite you everyone to add any comments if there are needed. One thing that, for instance, we have been working on, and special kudos to Dheeraj, is that we have a PR open to uplift the code. This needs a bit of a final refresh, but this will be the way that we are going to uplift the code from the current ODH GitHub organization inside of a Model Registry. I hear a raised hand. So Dheeraj, please, yeah.
I must have done it very hard if you heard it. uh, yeah, my question was we have some branches, specifically in model registry, about some work we had done earlier where we had started working on implementing a Go version of the registry. How are we preserving that branch? Are we going to copy that branch to Keyflow as well? Because there's a substantial amount of work that was done there, right? So want to make
Okay,
sure
so the question is
something like
so the question is about basically the Go server branch, right?
yeah.
Okay, can we
Yeah.
yeah, Ramesh?
My suggestion, Dheeraj, is for 4.1.9, we don't Kubeflow 1.9, we don't need that, right? At the time of at the time when we go past that, I think that's when we need to really figure it out how we can bring it back in, or if there is a different way. Obviously we've been talking about few other architectural changes, so if then I think that's the probably appropriate time to bring that one in rather than now. That's my opinion, but
Yeah. So, is the current ODH model registry repo going to go away? Because I know we are going to refork from Qflow, right?
no, it
So
won't
are we
go
going to
away.
lose that
We'll
branch?
archive it, but it will not go away.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to just to move it to a sort of like a parked repo, and so basically sort of like the
Okay.
history of commit
Yeah.
will be there. It will be require some change, I guess, in order to rebase it on top of the other repository. But I would expect that basically sort of like the data is still there, so we can evaluate
Right.
at the time, as Ramesh was mentioning, what will be the best strategy there.
Yeah. I just wanted to make sure that there was some
No,
shared
absolutely.
repo somewhere that has it.
Yeah,
All
we
right.
can.
Thanks.
No, absolutely. Actually, it's a good action, sort of like a good action item that we can say that we need to ensure. Where is that? Okay, here.
Yeah, there was a lot of work done by all of us, right? Andrea, you in implementing the server and stuff.
Ensure readme of archived old model registry. Then I will remember about this. No, great point. Okay. And then as well, so there is that. One thing that sort of like I wanted to do now, Dheeraj, if you may, is that we received a question of confirmation because we added just a generic service mesh bullet items for the work in progress stuff that we were working on and potentially needs to sync point with 1.9. And we received a question for confirmation that when talking about service mesh, we're talking about Istio service mesh. Can we clarify on this point?
Yeah. Yeah, I know, Ricardo. I saw that question, but can you point me to where we specifically mentioned service mesh? Because I don't think that's in the pull request, right?
No, it's not in the pull request. It's about the document that I think it's on document of 1.9 model registry roadmap.
I see. Okay.
So if
Okay,
it is
okay.
Istio service mesh.
Yeah, it's just Istio, not service mesh. We should not be mentioning service mesh anywhere.
Okay,
It's
perfect.
just plain Istio. Yeah, it's just vanilla Istio configuration.
Right.
in
I
the
hear a raised hand.
manifest.
Please go ahead. And sorry, I cannot see who's raising the hand because, as I mentioned, I have a power outage, so I'm not in the usual setup.
Yeah, it's me. It's just it's me, Ricardo. Just to say that since this is still the work you are going to work with Model Registry integration, just ensure that you are integrating Istio 120 because that was the proposal for releasing onto Kubeflow 1.9. Think yeah, there's 120 or 121. Yeah, because those are the ones that are compatible with the Kubernetes version we're targeting to Kubeflow 1.9.
Okay, excellent. Okay, thank you, Ricardo, for the specification, and I can also
Yeah,
go.
just
Yeah.
sort of to let everyone be aware. The Istio configuration that's there in the manifest, it's kind of just a vanilla configuration. It doesn't do anything extraordinary. It doesn't actually. It just kind of creates a secure service. That's all. It doesn't specify any authorization rules and stuff. It creates authorization policy that you can use as a template and then add your own rules and stuff. But the expectation is that the users will configure, all the authorization details themselves. So, Ricardo, it should conform with any, supported version of Istio.
Yeah, well, that's a broader discussion because we need to figure out the common dependency across all the Kubeflow components. And so far, we've been discussing about supporting 120 with the expectation to also support 121 because it's about to be released. That's the only information I got from past release meetings. But if there's a need for another or any specific version you need to work with, let me know. I'll bring this topic for the next release meeting.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so far there's nothing we are doing that's specific, as long as the resource versions we are referencing in there, I think it's V1 beta 3. And I think that's supported in the latest 121. That's what I tested with locally. It should be fine. But yeah, thanks for the heads up. We'll keep an eye out for it.
All right, perfect. And also, okay, so then everything falls back into also the list of these items that we are required from Kubeflow 1.9 release team to confirm on the versions. So eventually we will need to decide on how we're going to test it with these specific versions or as needed. Okay, so then we had some we were discussing on some items that we were doing, and as well there is the manifest. So I saw that that was also is going to be part of the uplift of the code that we were doing. So this is I think that we had the item mentioned. So it was this one, I guess. So with this one, basically with this commit, we're going to have the manifest configurations for basically installing Model Registry in vanilla Kubeflow with the manifest that is the standard policy for deploying components in Model Registry. Is this correct, Dheeraj?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. And so we will have that. All right. So just to conclude on this macro item on quick status update. So thanks again, Dheeraj, for all the work on the PRs and the manifest. And thank you, Ricardo, for the specification about Istio, the presentation about Istio. I think that we have sort of like went through this bullet point. I see somebody have added about Kubeflow 1.1 readiness. I think it was Stefano, so I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Yeah, well, pretty much what I wrote there. I also added a couple of comments to the issue just now. So yeah, I also missed last week's meeting, so I'm not sure how much of this you already discussed. I think it would be great to have a little bit more clarity on that roadmap issue, like on the top comment, seeing exactly what you guys want to deliver in terms of features, capabilities in this quarter. I'm not sure I've seen comments or discussions around documentation and installation. So I'm wondering how you're thinking about onboarding new users that will come to Kubeflow 1.9 and will want to install, try it out. If you're thinking about publishing examples or tutorials or stuff like that. So maybe we should have, if
So,
there's still, yeah,
Stefano,
go ahead.
is there like a separate repo where all of Kubeflow documentation goes, or does every project have its own?
Yeah, that goes to the Kubeflow website. So you'll find a Kubeflow/website
Okay, yeah.
repository. So I think we should discuss how you want to introduce this new component. We should add a new component to the sidebar, have some documentation about what this is, present it to users, integrations, and also a little bit of the roadmap. Again, based on how you guys want to publish this as an alpha release, I guess you'll have I think I've seen mentions of a Python package as well. So I guess there's a bunch of stuff. I'm not sure if you'll be having public APIs or package documentation. So I think there's quite a lot. And in terms of roadmap, it would be like for the benefit of the community, it would be great to have a high level overview of how you guys are outlining the work, not only for 1.9 but beyond that. Go ahead, Ricardo.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt your mention about the documentation. I just wanted to point out that some important topics for Model Registry is also to describe maybe in good details on the integration point with other Kubeflow components, because this is the first time we have a component inside Kubeflow that has integration with others. So it's good to have those integrations well documented.
Yeah, there might be something similar in Kubeflow pipelines documentation, because there are some pipelines components. I think there's a component, a Katib component, maybe a case serving component. So there might be something there you can take inspiration from. But just to close my thoughts on the roadmap, as I mentioned in the issue as well, I think either a separate issue or starting a roadmap board, whatever you guys think is best from your side, but just outlining your thoughts and high level thinking on the roadmap for the next 8 to 12 months, because I know you have those ideas in your mind. You've been talking about it, both in the design doc and here, but having a high level summary of the next stages and expected releases and timeline, it would be pretty great. So yeah, just
So
that.
Stefano, sorry, just a question from my side, because just to understand better, because on the Kubeflow community meeting at a certain point, we were asked with a model registry proposal. So I want to understand how much there is an overlap between that document and sort of like the roadmap that you are asking. So is it something like in between the 1.9 specific, let's say, deliverables and the model registry proposal, or is it something different? I'm just trying to understand in order to better coordinate the
So
work.
what are you referring to as the model registry proposal? Sorry, I got a bit
Oh, yeah.
lost here.
Yeah, I can just say,
Oh, this one.
yeah.
Okay. So I'm not sure if you're outlining a roadmap here, or just a technical reference architecture wise.
Yeah, we had the kind of like a sort of like at least we were outlining what were the first deliverables that we were aiming for and potential future stuff. So I
Okay.
understand that is a sort of like you would like to see not only for the one dot. So basically, what you're asking is something that is a bit a superset of what we are discussing here.
Yeah.
But
So here's my thinking. There will be, so we will have new users and community members going in and looking at the model registry documentation for the first time. They'll try it out, they'll be curious about it, and then next question will be, okay, where do we go from here? What's next? This is an alpha release. What should I expect in the next release and the one after? So what will be the life cycle of this component going forward? So I think we can anticipate some of those questions if we start maintaining a high level roadmap. Again, can be an issue, can be that formal model registry proposal that gets updated with roadmap as we go forward. But maybe an issue is easier to maintain.
Yeah.
So, because I know you guys know about it and you've been discussing it, you already have longer term plans. So it's just a matter of, formalizing them a little bit more, maybe in an issue or somewhere else.
okay, so this is basically this part here. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And can you also, so sorry, because I was just reading it, I'm just reading it now, since it was just now. So what is the plan support user who want to install Model Registry Flow? I suppose it won't be installed by default since it's an alpha. So basically it's like plan for support, sort of like this is where the part of the documentation on how to install it, right?
Yep, exactly.
And then, yeah, okay. And then for sort of like questions, then we have the Kubeflow Slack, or it will be the CNCF Slack, these kind of.
Don't take support as in maybe I used the wrong verb. I didn't mean support in terms of escalations or stuff like that. It's mostly about having clear guidelines on how to install this. So it's mostly about documentation.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, all right. Do you think, Stefano, since you have added these macro points, do you think that we touched on everything, or there is something else that you wanted to add?
No, that's it.
Okay, excellent. No, thank you. Okay, it was sorry again if I'm asking the audience, but I'm not in the usual setup. Is there any comments from anybody else in the meetings about this point that Stefano is bringing? Or we can, yeah, please.
I think, I don't know whether we are in a place, correct me if I'm wrong, Matthew, but at least, seems like, right now we are at a phase kind of in a flux where we are trying to see what we can deliver in 1.9. And there is a few things in flux in terms of the architecture. We called it out in the proposal. towards after that initial state, right? To the second stage where we wanted to rewrite the MLMD versus we wanted to use as a storage, this. So I think we may take a little bit of a time before we can bring those clarity into it. I mean, right now we know until 1.9, our roadmap is very clear what we want to deliver. So I think as a community, I think we need a little bit more time in terms of what we want to deliver at the second step of it. I think we need to have some more conversations around it and come up with that roadmap. Right?
I think it makes total sense, and it's a new project, it's a new initiative. No one expects, everything's to be ready and planned upfront. I think my suggestion is exactly.
There is a.
Josh, can you mute? Thank you. So that's exactly what I'm proposing, to start a separate conversation, maybe on the high level roadmap, because of this reason. So you can have a place to list and highlight blockers or discussions that need to happen in order for that, for those future stages to be defined and to move forward. So you don't risk them just losing them in design docs or meeting notes and stuff like that.
At least in my mind, what I was hoping for, Stefano, is, with our introduction, obviously, whatever we are going to deliver for 1.9 is going to be available before that, right? So maybe what I was hoping is, once we introduce to the community and we get more participation from the community users, there will be more people, bringing in more feature requests along those lines, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I agree with you. It's just a little bit of a too premature right now. We can document it, but you can say that very subjectively it will change more at night. Very high probability that it will change right now if we put anything in terms of dates. That's what I'm a little afraid of, putting something.
Yeah, I get your point, and I think it's all good. We do expect these plans to change. It's very early. Okay.
Yeah, Ramesh, just what I was thinking is that to these macro points, for sure, what we can try to do is that we can definitely sort of like act on some of them, sort of like for the 1.9 alpha. I'm expecting that as well. Maybe some part of, say, some other type of integration can be sort of like, we don't need we can sort of like put it down as items that we sort of like encounter as we are working towards that. And then start like, I think that Stefano's suggestion to use the roadmap tracker to sort of like list there what people will notice it's important, I think is a good way to sort of like put it there so that we don't lose track. For instance, like if, let's say, just hypothetically that we had to cut the release today, I know that we were speaking with Ayush earlier today, and he's volunteering to maybe help us with some UI work. But let's say that we had to cut it to today, we wouldn't have an UI. So this is definitely something that we can put in there. So I'm not expecting that we will be able. Yeah, I'm not expecting that we will be able to address this point sort of like tomorrow. But it's definitely a place where we can sort of like say, hey, yes, these are the things like we have part of it in the Model Registry proposal document that maybe we can transfer, because as Stefano was saying, it will make sense to have it in a central place that we can sort of like guide the user to say, hey, yes, we are aware of this feedback. But maybe the users who, as they will try in 1.9, can say, oh, I also noticed that Model Registry doesn't do X. And there, maybe we can use the roadmap to place it there.
Okay.
So I have a question. It's kind of related into where we're at here. Is there going to be a version number? What will the version numbers be? Will it be date-based, or will it be some other, like 0.1 based? And then how will those versions potentially be supported?
Can I take a stab at that, Josh? Yeah. I mean, what is there a convention that we use in the Kubeflow right now in terms of a date based or a 0.1 based?
We've been using just number 0.1. I don't know
Yeah.
what you call that numeric, but
Yeah, semantic versions.
semantic. Yeah.
yeah.
We've talked about potentially moving to a date based.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes date based makes sense because you know where you're at.
So my proposal is, right now let's use the semantic based, and when as a Kubeflow we are moving into date based, that's fine. We can talk about that then, right? I don't want to be the just model registry be the oddball out there. As far as the support is concerned, right? There may be many. The way I am, at least in my mind, the way I was thinking is, there can be many releases, right? We could be releasing a release once a week, but the support is going to be based on what goes in 1.9 or 1.10. Those whatever that stable version is, right? That's what we will do the support on. If at all we start doing on individual milestones every time we do it, that's going to be a nightmare. That's what, but that's what I'm thinking in my mind, but I'm open for suggestions, and yeah, let's open it up for others to comment.
Yeah, another thing that I think that we need to account for, and is like we are also seeing it also every day, and the reason why I think for 1.9 mentioning specifically that is an alpha version of Model Registry is that it gives us the opportunity to make some breaking changes based on feedback from the users. Because what I would expect is that as people start to use the system, they will have sort of like comments about, oh, I don't know, the REST API here, or like this functionality doesn't work. And we realize, oh yeah, we didn't realize on this use case, and we want to make breaking changes because of that. I think that with the alpha version, it's like giving us that opportunity, of course, to make it not sort of like a drastic change, but sort of like trying to make the breaking changes where meaningful. So yeah, that is my perspective.
Yeah, my kind of view is I would do the minimum possible, especially in early releases. I would almost say there's no support, because if you only have so much energy, you're going to want to be building and fixing and moving forward rather than looking backwards. And an early release is almost worthless. In a lot of ways, it's more just demonstration. I don't mean that to say it in a bad way, but trying to keep up a 0.1, I would minimize the commitment to support on a 0.1 release, if that makes sense.
I agree.
Yeah, I just want to say, at least in the Go community, the convention is that 0. Versions are supposed to be are expected to be unstable, so they're not meant for production, and there are no backward compatibility guarantees among the 0. Versions. So I think it's fine as long as it's you're staying on v0. 1x whatever. It's only when we do the first like supported production ready release 1. Something, then we'll start having to worry about backward compatibility and supporting.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the piece that we'll get to is if, again, I don't want to go into hypotheticals, but 0.9 comes out or 1.9 comes out, and we've got some breaking change or something that's breaking the release. It's affecting maybe some other component because of the model registry. What do we do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And whatever. I don't want to overthink it. I just want you guys to think about what your position is, just clearly state it. Great. You can always change it, but I agree with everything. Anyway, thanks.
Thank you, Josh. No, I think
Yep.
it makes a lot of sense. Sort of like we should maybe try to, in the earlier, there was a point about documentation and onboarding user. So I think that there we can make these comments like as well, something that since it is a 0.x and an alpha, then unstable, we can make a disclaimer type of statement, so it's very clear. But sort of like at the same time, we can use that as a way to sort of like gather feedback. So we can definitely try to highlight it for the benefit of the Kubeflow users when seeing this, because it can be both sort of like, oh yeah, I can try it out, and it can actually be, I can understand that while not being the full release, at the same time is we can indeed frame it as an opportunity to influence the work on the project, in this case the community. All right. I think that we sort of like touch base on almost everything in the points that we had in the agenda. I don't know if anyone else had some other points that were not captured in the agenda item, or otherwise I will move to some of the action item that I saw, that I dragged from the previous one. So if anybody had sort of like another open points that you wanted to discuss in today's meeting, please let me know in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so then I think that we can move to the action items for the next steps. So this one, I can already say that I'm following the Dheeraj works on the PRs, and as soon as we are ready to merge commit that pull request, we will be in a position to uplift code. I think that I see an action item here is introduce Kubeflow, Model Registry, and general channel, but I think that we did this one. So is who written this one? Can you speak to it if there was something?
Oh, that was me, Matteo. That was from the original. Ricardo was mentioning to introduce a little bit further the Kubeflow channel, advertise that everywhere so that people are aware of it. So I put that one there.
Okay. So by introduce, you mean advertise?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Advertise both meeting as we are already doing, but also
the Slack channel.
Yeah, on Slack in channels. Okay, thank you. I can take this one for sure. No problem. Let me just take an action item here. Okay. And then we had some discussion about Kubeflow pipelines and Postgres MySQL things. So Dheeraj, do we need to do some specific action here?
So the first version of the manifest that we are adding supports both MySQL and Postgres. So we're good on the model registry side. In the long run, then we need to discuss whether we need to make one or the other a primary or primarily supported or promoted database. But yeah, for now we're good. I'd say support both.
Okay, so basically this was actually done, so I can mark it as done, right?
Yeah, the manifest is done.
Okay, thank you so much. For the Model Registry, we have both for PostgreSQL and MySQL. So we can mark this one as done. Thank you so much, Dheeraj. All right. So I think that I don't have any other points. Yeah, please.
So Matthew, I just wanted to ask to see who is either, are we any community, any one of us going to the DSP, not DS, I'm sorry, KFP meeting, and to see how we can bring them, if there are any integration points in 1.9 time frame. That's one question I have. At the same time, is there anything we want to do into going into the KServe meeting and also bring that integration point and see if there is the container initialization, container storage, right? That's what we were proposing in 1.9. Should we designate at least one person to go to those? And
I can take the one of Kserve because what I'm planning to do is like a following, because I was following the work of Andrea. So if that is okay, I can do it. But of course, I take a volunteer. So I like sharing is caring. So if anybody wants to do it, like
Ricardo, you want to take the KFP side of it and see what we can drive there?
Yeah, not a problem. I can take that.
Right, because it seems all of us being there is sometimes probably not possible, and what kind of integration? Obviously, there is two levels, two things. I think, at least in my mind, I'm thinking is one is I'm assuming KFP still uses MySQL 5, so there is a question about can we move them into MySQL 8 kind of a thing. That's one, I would say. And at the same time, is there any sharing of the databases we can do? So those are the two questions, at least in my mind. But if there are any others, I think we can probably capture them. Once we have the conversations, we can capture them into the issues. And
okay, so basically, overall, these 2 points that you are suggesting, Ramesh, is basically for people from sort of like the model registry perspective, work with the KFP and the Kserve, and basically see the integration point and making sure what we can do for the 1.9 timeframe. This is basically the overall ask.
That's exactly right, Matthew. Because we don't want to wait for these things, little later in the time scale. Right? They may not have time, or otherwise we will kind of miss the window of opportunity to showcase the integration story between these two components, in my opinion. I mean, if they say that they can't do it for 1.9, then we will know upfront. Then we need to figure out, how maybe in additional ways we can showcase those.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly as well, what we had discussed it that, for instance, the Kserve one, we marked that as optional. So basically, the ask here is just try to make sure about what can be done as a stretch goal for 1.9, basically. And if we get it, I think it will be, of course, I agree, it's like a nice integration story that we can put for 1.9, but it's like it was a stretch goal, right?
So, guys, I think here, and this is just something thinking out loud. It would be interesting to describe an aspirational user journey that includes these two integrations. So if you somehow manage to implement both of these integrations, then what would be the reference tutorial that a user could experience with 1.9, right? So having a high-level description of this aspirational user story could drive, one, prioritization of whatever features need to be implemented for that to happen. And once you start looking at that user experience, you can start also potentially cutting some of the features that maybe are not needed to support that, and rather prioritize the ones that are really driving factors to make that happen end to end.
Yeah, sort of like a user story kind of like document that.
Yeah, it could be a separate GitHub issue where we start describing it, maybe adding a diagram or something. And that can become also supporting documentation down the line that gets published to the Kubeflow website.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
Ricardo?
Yeah, another topic I'd like to cover with that. I know that Model Registry looks great if having both integrations with Kserve and Kubeflow pipelines. But maybe Josh Stefano can help me chime in on that. But I think we should think of a scenario that users would want to use Model Registry as a standalone component, especially because there's some sort of assumption that every Kubeflow component should work independently or in standalone mode. I don't remember what's the right word here, but I think we should also think of a scenario that a user just wants to use Model Registry and nothing else. No KFP, no Kserve integration. Not sure if that makes sense for Model Registry story, but if there's some way to use it standalone, we need to document that as well.
I think you bring up a good point, and it's all about figuring out if there is a scenario, a user experience that makes sense. I'm not sure there is, because I think the Model Registry is all about integration, being part of an ecosystem of tools. But maybe there is. Yeah, thinking about it high level from a user point of view, it's definitely the way to go there. And if there is a use case to support that, I'm all for it.
Yeah, what I'm thinking here, for instance, like trying to, so pardon me, I will digress a couple of minutes, just thinking out loud. For instance, for this point, we can already sort of like make the case. Stefano, just keep me in check here, just to understand that I follow you correctly. For instance, in Model Registry, let's say that we cut the release today. In Model Registry, you would have sort of like URIs that are pointing for model deployment. So the integration for Kserve here is pretty sort of like simple, because then your system basically can reference the inference service customer source that you would produce on the cluster will be based on information coming from Model Registry. So let's say this is something that is I would say the base layer of a user story. What we were discussing in a previous the previous recurrent meeting is the custom storage, the cluster storage initializer that Kserve has, and that I think is one level up this story, because then you could have a special initializer for Kserve that will sort of like look up in the Model Registry and figure it out what is the URI, rather than for you to manage this information in the customer resource inference service manually. So I think that we can speak to that, and I think that this also accounts for what Ricardo was just mentioning, because say that sort of like you will use a system like that is not Kserve, then people can reference for the baseline story, say, oh yeah, for Kserve without any specific customization, it will work this way. So then I can find analogous way to make it work Model Registry for my replacement of Kserve, whatever it is. Does it make sense? Yeah. Here is Dan. Andre?
Yeah, hi everyone. So I agree with Ricardo points about standalone application for Model Registry, to be honest, because I hope like you guys can also think about the use cases when people just want to use Q4 Model Registry with their own internal infrastructure, and I don't think we should, don't allow our users to follow that type of model, right? So there are like multiple use cases when they might have their own pipeline engine or maybe serving engine, and they just want to use small registry as the glue layer, right, between their components.
Thank you so much. Yeah, please go ahead.
What I'm really hearing there is, we make the stock model registry as independent, but any of these integrations go into a separate packages that can be separately installed or additionally installed, right, based on whatever the user is wanting to do. So yeah, that way we can keep it both together and at the same time separate and give the user the flexibility.
Yeah, makes sense.
I guess the only problem that we might have, like the pipelines team, right? If the KFP will migrate to Model Registry eventually, the people who are using Kubeflow pipelines have to like use the Kubeflow Model Registry, right? For their pipelines, right? Because I guess like KFP just cannot run without MLND, right? To allow all of the features that KFP supports today, right?
At least that was the original thinking, but if this integration being alone, you know, I still, yeah, we have to think through how that works there.
Yeah. And also that is a bit beyond the sort of like, I mean, we will need to sort of like to have all the stakeholders from KFP to talk to that. But yeah, everyone.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah, I think we need to, I mean, especially in the model registry perspective, we need to see if, you know, we probably have to have I mean, once we have something there, we have to have a different conversation in terms of that policy, right? You know, maybe we can, if there is enough precedence, you know, maybe we can say that this is an infrastructure component, like, you know, Istio or something we are installing, and it should always be installed. You know, that's the argument. You know, maybe we should go for. You know, once we are there, I mean, it does not make sense right now to do that, in my opinion. But once we establish it, you know, then we are seeing these kind of use cases. That's the argument I would probably make, that, hey, let's make this a permanent component, establish that is infrastructure, and let's drive from there on.
Makes sense. Are there any, for the resident, any other points that somebody wants to bring in before, in the last 5 minutes?
Just maybe quickly from my side, I know we've been like trying to establish new working groups for Model Registry and for Spark. So this PR I mean, we opened this PR in back in December, right? So maybe like if some of you have some time to address some of the comments, and maybe someone else like from the community can like provide feedback, we can finalize the proposal and just, you know, move forward to this new working group. So yeah, people can just see some visibility around what we're doing.
So basically, you're speaking about these pull requests, right?
Yeah, I have some comments that I like left a few, I think, a month ago.
Okay.
But we need more feedback from the community on the charter.
Yeah, I think that we are keeping tabs on it in the Kubeflow community meeting, but a very fair point to raise it also in this place. Maybe I can add it here. Community. Don't forget provide feedback on and use the process. G data proposal. All right. Thank you, Andre. All right. So if there are no other points, we are getting close to the finish of the meetings. Just as a reminder, again, you can use and sorry, we am in a bit of since the lights are still not coming back for the town. Just as a reminder, there will be the announcement in the Kubeflow announcement, follow up with the progress of this meeting for as well an announcement. We moved this meeting to Monday following a request to avoid some conflict. And if there are any further comments, don't forget that the minutes of the meeting document can receive your feedback, your suggestion. So don't hesitate to make it there. With that, I thank you all for joining today, and I will see you in 2 weeks at the same time. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. See you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Matteo.
Thanks. Bye-bye.